everyone, my name is Dorina and welcome back to my channel, Dorlicious. Today I will be making for you one of my absolute favorite recipes of all time, sweet miso-butter cod with snap peas. If you're new here, this is my channel where I will be sharing all of my favorite recipes and other food projects with you. And today I will be sharing with you a recipe from Chrissy Teigen's Cravings, Hungry for More. Now, when I say that this is my favorite recipe, I absolutely mean it. I've made it a million times. It is so good. And if anybody knows me, they know that I am not someone who makes the same recipes over and over. I'm always cooking new things. And for me to have made this recipe so many times in such a short time frame, I think even with this, including this time that I'm making it, I've made it 3 times since August. And I just never do that with recipes, so this is really one that I'm always going back to. When she developed this recipe, their intention was to make a kind of copycat recipe for one of Nobu's famous dishes, black cod, which marinates in miso for about 4 days before it's served to you. But the price for that is about $40. So not only is this a lot faster, it's cheaper and you can make it at home. I also like to keep an eye out for when cod is on sale so that I can make this recipe, but there are of course special occasions that would warrant paying full price for cod. Cod is a really great fish for this recipe because it has a really mild flavor. It's a really delicate white fish, so it allows the sauce to shine, and the sauce really is the star of this recipe. It's sweet, spicy, salty, it has that umami flavor from the miso. It's totally drinkable. I think that I would risk burning my entire mouth drinking the sauce straight from the oven. I usually scale this recipe up a little bit so that I'm making more fish and sauce at least, but I will be sure to leave in the description the ingredient list as is from the book, and I will tell you the amount that I was using as well, so you can scale it up or you can make exactly what's from the book, but my instructions will apply regardless, so you can follow along either way. This recipe actually has another recipe within it to make that miso butter, and the amount that you end up making is more than what you'll use in the recipe. So if you're not doing what I'm doing and using all of the butter in the recipe, this is also a great butter to saute vegetables in or toss them in and roast them in the oven. It really is super versatile and you won't regret using it that way. I did want to mention too that a lot of the times when I make this, I usually make jasmine or basmati rice alongside it. So that way you can place everything on the plate and drizzle all of it with the sauce. And any sauce that's left over on the plate will get absorbed by that rice, and you can mix it all together so that none goes to waste, because you don't want this sauce to go to waste, I promise you. The first thing we are going to prepare is the spicy garlic miso butter. You will only be using 6 tablespoons of this recipe in the actual dish that we're making. I end up using all of it, so I am going to tell you the measurements of everything that I use so that you can use all of the butter if you don't want to save it. First, you're going to need 1 stick of room temperature butter. I like to just leave it out for a couple hours until it reaches room temperature, but if it's still not soft enough for you to mix it, you can stick it in the microwave, microwaving it at intervals of 10 seconds until it's soft enough to mix. And I like to use salted butter for this, so that is up to you if you want to use salted butter or unsalted. I tend to use salted butter for everything. Now you are going to finely mince 2 tablespoons of chives and add those to that same bowl. So now we are going to prepare our garlic. You are going to want 3 cloves of garlic, and I am using 4 because some of mine are on the smaller side. I like to mince garlic by pushing it through a garlic press, so I just cut the end of the garlic off, push my knife down on top of it to easily get the wrapper off of the garlic clove, and then I just push it through the garlic press. You can use pre-minced garlic, or you can also mince it yourself with a knife. You'll measure out 1/4 cup of white or shiro miso and add that to the bowl as well. If you can't find any miso at the grocery store, a great alternative that I've used in the past is a broth concentrate called Miso and Easy. And I think that you can find that at places like World Market. You can order it online. And I use the same amount, 1/4 cup, but you can add it in increments since it is a concentrate. But I haven't had any issues adding the full amount in the past. So that's just a good alternative that you can use if you can't find any at the grocery store. To that same bowl, we are going to add about 1/2 teaspoon of freshly ground black pepper or any black pepper that you have on hand, as well as a generous pinch of cayenne pepper. Now you're basically just going to mix this together until it's fully combined. Everything is mixed into the butter. You can put this in the fridge and use it the next day if you're not ready to make this yet. I usually just prepare it right when I'm going to make it. If you do refrigerate it, make sure that you take it out well before you are going to make the dish so that the butter is at room temperature. So now I am preparing these snap peas. These usually come in about 4 to 6 ounce bags at the grocery store. So I bought 2, which is 10 ounces of snap peas. You're going to trim the ends. And when you're trimming the ends, you want to make sure that you're checking for any strings. So along the seam of the snap pea, sometimes there is a string that you really do not want to be in there. I've made the mistake before skipping this step and they were not good. So you definitely want to check that. You'll usually just snap off the end and pull a little bit and it'll pull right off. In this case, I didn't really have very many, but you still want to check and go through. I had a couple and I'll show you one that I did get so that you can see, but definitely a necessary step. Don't skip it. That's all you have to do. Just wash them, trim the ends, and check for strings. So now, according to the book, we are going to measure 1/4 cup of light brown sugar tightly packed and 1/4 cup of sake. But what I am using is 1/3 cup. So 1/3 cup of light brown sugar tightly packed and 1/3 cup of sake. Any sake works for this. I usually just look for one that sounds good because you do have a lot left over and I end up just drinking it along with the meal. So the book calls for 2 6-ounce pieces of cod, with the center cut being preferred because that is the thicker loin part of the fish. I, though, have never made this recipe using that amount of fish. I've always gotten at least 1 pound. In this case, I have 1.5 pounds. I ended up getting the entire fish and I cut it into portion sections, the tail, the belly, the loin. So they are varying in thickness, and that's fine. I've never had an issue in this recipe overcooking the fish. You just have to keep an eye on it when it's in the oven. Now, if you do go that route, I am obviously not a professional fish filleter, so I've looked up videos in the past how to fillet a fish. If you're not comfortable doing that, you can get it pre-portioned out when you're buying the fish or look up videos yourself. You're really just wanting to section them off depending on the region of the fish. So the tail, the loin, the belly. And I'm, of course, just eating this at home by myself, so I'm not too stressed about perfection. Now you are going to season the fish very liberally with salt and pepper. I forgot to film myself doing that, so I just wanted to mention that that is a very necessary step. And last but not least, you will need 1 tablespoon of water per the book, but since I am making more sauce, I use 2 tablespoons. So before you begin, you will want to turn on your broiler and adjust your oven rack so that one is in the center of the oven. If your broiler has settings, you're going to set it to either medium or low. I will say it is very helpful to know how your broiler behaves for this because there is no oven that is alike. I usually end up having to set my broiler to high. I've tried it off at low and it does not achieve my desired outcome. You're better off starting low and then adjusting higher as needed instead of accidentally burning your food. Now you are going to heat a pan that can be transferred to the oven over medium heat. If you don't have a pan that can be easily transferred to the oven that is oven safe, you can use a regular pan and transfer everything into a baking dish before it goes into the oven. Once the pan is heated, you are going to add the spicy garlic-miso butter that was previously prepared to the pan. As I mentioned before, the recipe only calls for 6 tablespoons, but I use all of what was prepared. You're going to also add the brown sugar, sake, and water. Stir that all up to incorporate everything and let the butter fully melt. then bring it to a simmer. Once that has come to a simmer, you're going to add the prepared fish to the skillet, adding it in an even layer, making sure none of it is overlapping. And you're going to cook this for about 4 minutes until the bottom half of the fish is opaque. But every so often, you want to come back to the pan, spoon some of the sauce on top of the fish to really get them fully coated in the sauce. And this will also help the top of the fish to begin cooking. Once the bottom half of the fish is opaque, we are going to add the snap peas to the pan. If you have enough room in the pan, you can just scoot the fish over and put the snap peas in the pan alongside the fish. But if you don't have enough room, you can do what I do and just start adding some of the snap peas and gently lifting the fish and placing it on top of the snap peas. You want to do this as gently as possible because otherwise the fish might fall apart. It's a very delicate fish, so it needs to be done carefully. But don't worry if some little pieces of the fish break off or if the fish splits in half. It happens to everybody. It's still going to taste good. If you're able to put the snap peas next to the fish, you'll just want to stir them to get the sauce coated around the snap peas. But if you're not able to mix the peas around, you can spoon more of the sauce over the snap peas, over the fish. Make sure that everything is nicely coated because we're going to get ready to put this into the oven. So if you don't have an oven-safe pan, instead of adding the snap peas to the pan, you can go ahead and add the snap peas to the baking dish you are going to be putting in the oven. Transfer the fish from the pan to the baking dish and then pour the sauce on top of everything. So now we are going to transfer this to the oven and put it under the broiler. You want everything to be caramelizing and the sauce should be bubbling. If you notice that the sauce is not bubbling, you can turn the temperature on your broiler up or you can move your rack closer to the broiler. If it's burning or blackening too quickly, lower the settings or move your rack away from the broiler. This will take about 4 to 8 minutes. Essentially, you're going to want the fish to be opaque, easily flake with a fork, or be 145 degrees Fahrenheit when you insert an instant read thermometer. So once everything is nice and caramelized, you have those beautiful charred spots on the fish and the snap peas. This is ready to come out of the oven. And that's it. You're done. That's all this recipe takes. You are ready to place it on your plates and enjoy. So that was sweet miso butter cod with snap peas. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video and will try this recipe out so that you can see why I am raving about it. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and if you want to know every time that I post videos, you can also turn on notifications. In the meantime, you can also follow me over on my Instagram, Dorlicious_food, so that you can see what I am cooking in between videos and follow me over there. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time. I think that it's so great because of the sauce. I said that last time, I can't say the same thing. I can't always just be like, the sauce is so good. The sauce is so good. Okay, but this sauce really is good. It really is good. I think that I will be posting this video on or around Valentine's Day. So if you're watching this around then or on Valentine's Day, happy Valentine's Day. And I hope that you are having or had a great day.